Thank you so much. My talk is really a bit more different from previous one. So I'm coming from the IT sector. You know that in Estonia, the element houses or modular houses are very good product or sales. So there is a lot of business going on. And this particular project is about how to use 5G technology in manufacturing, and especially in small SMEs, manufacturing of SMEs. The trick is that SMEs, at least in Estonia, are just producing quite small quantities. And that means that having some kind of high-scale production, like maybe car industries or just machineries, is not very much relevant. And right now, this project is trying to deploy or evaluate if such kind of, let's say, technologies which are dedicated for really large enterprises, maybe BMW or Mercedes or Airbus, can they be applied to smaller enterprises as well, especially wooden industry, because also in wooden industry, a lot of these modules are very specific or the quantities are small. So there is a high demand of varying the products. So that was introduction. I'm IT guy, right? So I couldn't avoid putting this image here. So which shows a cellular technology evolvement. And the thing is that if you check on this right-hand side upper corner, that this 4G and 5G cellular technologies, right? The phones are pretty similar. So there are not so much enhancement done during recent years. And now the question is that do we need some kind of enhancement at all related to those wireless communication technologies? So at least you all guys are using the cellular phone, right? The thing is that 5G has certain properties or functions why it is applicable or viable for production. And we can basically forget about speed. So we do have enough communication speed, so you can always use your existing or maybe even legacy smartphone to have enough speed monitoring or just watching YouTube. So there is no need for something else. But 5G is especially suitable for production, for industry, because it gives flexibility. Also including factory floor flexibility if you need the mobility. So it doesn't make sense to use this kind of novel technologies if you have the wood machinery device which is fixed and doesn't need any mobility. So what the technology provides from the industry point of view is very short delays. So you can technically control your machines over the internet. It gives high reliability, which is especially relevant to safety use cases. So it is possible to control machines also using wireless communication, which is, I would say, rather rare till today. And there are some more specific features, so maybe these are not so relevant, like having many devices spread around space. But you can imagine that this talking about 5G in production is something that talking about very high reliability Wi-Fi connectivity, which is superior to the existing solutions. So again, maybe some technical details. So maybe you don't have to follow all these kind of fancy terminology things. The idea of 5G networking is that when it used to be very centralized, which means that all data is going through the very central unit, which is like core network, which is usually abroad. So if you are here, you have like roaming, most of your data goes to Italy, to Spain, whatever place. And now the 5G is giving opportunities that some data is processed locally. So it doesn't follow the path through the neighboring country, but it is done on the same area where we are, which means that it gives possibilities to do some kind of local processing. For example, you have mobile robots in your factory floor, or you have the autonomous vehicles on the street. And this is something which is now different as it used to be before. Maybe one thing is whatever you're dealing with, it is safety. So probably all your applications require some human safety. 5G provides also safety features due to network slicing. That means that for specific services, specific applications, there are some kind of dedicated data pipes, we can say, or channels which provide a certain quality, which makes data transmission for this specific application reliable, which is, you can imagine, very advisable for medical communication, but it could be also important if your workers are doing something dangerous and there is need for continuous connectivity. And there are some tricks related to antennas, radio stuff, which is maybe not so interesting. But what is interesting is that modern technologies tend to operate on higher frequencies, so closer to light. And that allows us, due to physical features of radio signaling, so it's pure physics again, that it allows to do positioning, precise positioning in resolution up to maybe 10 centimeters, 15 centimeters. And this is already something which is pretty much useful, not just, let's say, in the factory floor, but maybe also if you are just producing wooden houses, if you are maintaining wooden houses. And this is maybe something which is feasible. So it wasn't possible before, so it is even not possible right now, but it will be possible, let's say, in a time frame of 5 years. So let's go to some kind of usage areas in a broader sense. So we can't have everything together. So right, we would like to have cheap and we would like to have good. So it is not possible. So the same applies for the communication or ICT. So there is a 5G use field which is enhanced mobile broadband, which is YouTube. So basically, you don't need requirements on reliability, on latency, but you need data pipe. This is pretty much irrelevant to industry. This is like the consumer space. The second topic is machine type communication, or we can call it also as IoT. So that provides, in theory, 1 million devices, small devices in square kilometer per square kilometer. So maybe it is difficult to imagine such kind of application, especially in the industry or wooden industry, but at least this is something. Maybe it is related to smart homes or something like that. So maybe it makes sense to install these IoT devices on these wooden modules to monitor the structural health, what we are actually also doing in this project. And there is the third category is mission critical communication, or as it is more widely known as ultra reliable low latency communication. This is like dedicated for industrial use. So factory floor applications, remote machine operation, human safety, and so on. Now, if we go to there is a nice graph. I made it by myself, right? So if we just check what is going on, and we are following the whole path of the wooden material chain, right? So we have forestry. So actually we are growing trees at first, and then there is at the end is recycling. So we are not wasting, we are not burning it, we are planning to, or at least trying to recycle it. So that means that initially we have a lot of information about the material. So, for example, we would like to control this harvester remotely. So nobody wants to work in the forest anymore. So there will be some kind of autonomous vehicles traveling around and just cutting trees. So this is what 5G enables us. We can use this high throughput communication. And also at the end, so we also have information about the material. So it was talked about covering materials, do this paintings or covering includes some poisoning materials or so on. So we have a lot of data about the end product or what is here. But in the middle, in the between, so we have some kind of information is more related to production. And this is according, we can divide by 5G that initially we have more information like about high throughput communication or IoT communication. So maybe we are tracking here if there is a forest fire going on. And that's the end. So we are monitoring ready-made building. And between, there is some kind of production driven communication where we need this high reliability and safety and so on. So seems that everything is quite well covered with 5G stuff. Just some maybe interesting application is that there is in Finland there is in Sweden there is at least one company which is tracing woods based on this pattern, the cutting pattern. So it allows to monitor the, let's see, this timber starting from cutting in the forest till basically in the end of when the forest or the wooden material is placed somewhere in the houses. So it is definitely not trivial. So it is not working today, but this is maybe something you can imagine which can be driven by the database management. Also, now if we switch to factory floor production, then we don't need this, let's see, public data exchange. Then we are staying inside in our factory, inside the factory. So we would like to keep everything under our own control. And also we need this high-speed communication, high reliability communication and high safety requirements. In this case, it makes sense to keep everything under your control. So instead of involving some kind of telcos, instead of sending data out to some kind of cloud, it makes sense to control everything. And this is how 5G also supports private networks right now in the scale which is affordable for at least medium companies, maybe in the future also for small companies. So everything is kept in-house, and it is possible to create, let's see, Wi-Fi-like, but very reliable, very trustful, very fast communication systems, which are completely installed on site. So that wasn't possible before. This is where we can hopefully go at least in the future. It has some technical requirements or limitations, but it is not so difficult anymore. So as you can see, you have to pay the license fee, roughly 100 euros per year, which is nothing very serious. Okay, so what it gives if we just have or use some kind of private installations, we can imagine again, it is like a Wi-Fi system which is much more reliable. So we can have several benefits. So these use cases are mainly based in our project partner and what they are expecting. So the company is also making wooden modules, modular houses, using the augmented reality. They believe to reduce amount of non-compliances roughly 10%. That means that if a product is made, so these products are small quantities series or low volume production. So it is quite difficult to make, let's say, to train assembly guys and so on. Using tablets, using augmented reality glasses, they do hope that the assembly quality will be better. The time will be reduced by roughly 10%. And also the number of non-conformities will be reduced by roughly 10%. This is due to the fact that the information can be more quickly sent back to the design department. Second thing is machine monitoring, machine predictive maintenance, which is also because of having augmented reality tools and equipment available on the factory floor. And maybe one of the most important thing is that using these technologies, people are believing that training time can be heavily reduced. The thing is that we everywhere have problems hiring people, so that means that also training time has to be reduced as much as possible. And using AR, VR and digital twin technologies, it is hoped that the training time can be reduced heavily. So in the sawmills, people are even saying that several times the training time of the operators can be reduced. And the last thing to mention here is that this novel radio frequencies, as mentioned already, allow to use high precision positioning or to use these safety applications. Okay, so what are the perspectives? Is it something which will come to us in 20 years or something like that? So maybe these are my personal assumptions, or maybe you can just see what happens in after 5 years. So maybe I'm totally wrong. For large enterprises, this kind of technology is already viable today. So it is even for medium size enterprises, it makes sense to install maybe, for example, big office building. This is something like replacement of conventional Wi-Fi technology, and price range is something roughly the same. So we are still talking about hundreds of thousands of euros, but comparable just regular communication systems are having a similar price range. So for SMEs, here the focus would be still having some kind of technological benefits. If we need remote operation, if we need high reliability communication with wireless devices, if we need some kind of IoT technologies, then 5G is good option, and probably it will be cost-wise acceptable in 5-7 years, maybe 8 years, something like that. But it is not like we can imagine that nobody is going to install regular cellular phone network in a factory right now as it is. So it is getting more viable. And there are what is interesting is that due to the different regulations, associations, and so on, it is the technology is opening up. So that means that companies are not providing closed solutions anymore. So it's we don't talk about, let's say, Ericsson or Nokia anymore, but it is combination of different vendors, also including software vendors. So this is kind of trend of industry 4.0, which is taking the place also related to communication technologies. And there is a lot of open source components coming up available, which is like in data warehousing. So everybody is using Linux, everybody is using open source, but definitely it requires some paid work to make it work. Okay. And so let's see what happens soon when the 6G will come. So they are promising it in a couple of years. So 2030 it will be here. So maybe we can have the next meeting and see what will be available by this time. So thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. Any question?
So it's probably quite different topic.
Different topic. Okay. Are there any implications of these technologies in terms of data management and energy usage? Any challenges that you see in the wood sector?
So everything must be green. So the one idea of 5G is also to support green transition, to make more energy efficient communication. So it is people are saying that 80% of the energy consumption of radio communication or cellular communication technologies is spent on the radio network. So there is significant improvement in this sense. And this is maybe the main focus of 6G, especially reducing carbon footprint on these terms. About data management, what is, I didn't highlight here, but the one reason to use cellular communication, it is natively secure. So it provides way better security level compared to regular computer networks. So this is maybe something. And any challenges related with wood sector. So wood is, there are not much challenges related to wood sector because wood is not blocking radio waves. So wood is our friend, I would say.
Thank you very much.